Good afternoon, everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene, North American Snow Queen. Hello, Mary. Me tell you, I have a guest here in the studio. She's a friend of mine. I mentioned about her briefly in one of my other videos, saying about Dory's coming to visit. Well, we didn't do the video last week with Dory here, and so she came back to visit again. And say we figured we'd talk about general things. We're going to be doing two videos again. A technical video, which will be later on, and of course, the everyday videos, and see where it goes from here. You want to say hi to everybody, Dory?
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Dory. I'm from Torrington, and I come up to visit Michele.
Yeah, she's a friend of mine, and of course, now, you said that you liked the little short ditty video I put on Facebook. I want to know if you would like to explain what particularly about that video you found interesting.
I forgot which one it was, but it was really...
It was talking about Mother God.
Yes, I thought that was very interesting.
And
I just liked the features of it, what you talked about and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I work hard to make videos interesting. Anyway, so what I wanted to do is so me and Dory were kind of talking about this some time down the road. We were trying to discuss if we should do a video on happiness, and a friend of ours decided to final exit, if you will, and I'm not going to give names, just to say that Dory explained to me that she said that this lady was unhappy. So I guess we should start with the most basic question is people often say is that if someone terminates their existence, some say that person is not necessarily going to go to heaven. I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I'll tell you why I say that. Because first of all, Mother God and Father God know the life chart. They know all the possible exits and entry points that a person's chart has. Because remember, they're all knowing, and the person already has planned for these exit points. They have, most people have, anywhere from 2 exit point potentials in life up to the maximum 7. It may not necessarily be by self-desire or not, but rather it might also be because of sickness or maybe accident, and a variety of things. So the question is sometimes is that when people decide to go home, is what makes it so hard for people to understand is why would people would do that. Now, you and I know this lady, so we kind of know the story behind this. But what's your personal take on why she did it?
I really can't answer that, but I know that she was a very special person to myself and all the other people. She made people feel very happy. But she always told me that she wasn't happy with her situation in life, and I always told her that she should try to get that out of her. But she always told me that she wasn't happy, and she had everything going for her. She had a wonderful family, and she was really a great person.
So just, in other words, she herself, because I know she was a deeply spiritual person, maybe she saw too much of a discontinuity between what she knew was on the other side and here. maybe just made her just a little bit homesick. I think that most people don't realize that on the other side, our lives are, the best they can be. I mean, you got access to many forms of entertainment. You have many access to many forms of study if that's what you're interested in. Everybody knows your name. It's a pretty good environment overall. And so I think that on the other side have a very rich environment. And that environment, they miss that. When you're here on Earth University, it's like missing home. It's like you're here until you graduate, but most people was like, going from being a freshman to a postgraduate is just long and arduous process. When the end of the semester comes up, which is the end of our earthly presence in this life, Mother God and Father God ask you, do you want to go back for another round to finish what you may have missed in this life? Now, I've been honest, this is my 23rd life, and this is my 22nd. So, we're dealing with a situation where you come back multiple times. But, after a while, it's like some people just really don't manage to get over the disconnect between the life on the other side and the life here at Earth University. So some people want to go home so bad that they can taste it. I think that was the case here. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't understand why. I don't understand what you're saying, but I can't do this.
Well, let's put it this way. What do you understand about it? So let's see if maybe
I know there's another side of life. I know that
there's life after this life.
I know there's happiness, because right now we're happy, but there's a life out there somewhere.
It's just kind of like when you're versus when you're living at home with mom and dad, and when you go to college and you're living in the dorms. It's a completely different life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some people who used to live with mom and dad miss their parents very much.
Mm-hmm.
So they're willing to drop out of school because they want to be home with mom and dad, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what happened here. Because she realized that she was having a hard time with the coursework, and she just didn't want to keep going through the motions every day.
It just wasn't that. It was a lot of other things too. I just miss her a real lot. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. Well, I kind of miss it too, but it's like she gave me some very interesting spiritual insights, which kind of just reinforced what I already knew. But since she kind of stopped hanging out with me, she didn't really talk to me much after a while. And so I think she kind of realized that one of the resources that she has available as a companion traveler on the road, she decided that, look, I don't want to be with that companion anymore. I don't want to be associated with Michele for whatever reason. And that's fine. That happens. Some people are like cameo roles. They come in, there might be somebody who, like in a street scene that goes ahead and says something simple like a line like, they're coming, or that's all they hear, and you never see them in the movie ever again. That's a cameo role. Okay? And so some people enter and leave our life the same way. That they're cameos. They're not permanent members of our niche or circle, but rather they're kind of temporary. They come in and they go out. Kind of like at, like at a clubhouse. I mean, sometimes you have members that join that's, they stay at the clubhouse for years and years and years. And then you have other members that might come in for a membership for, say, like a year, and then you never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's, I guess that's, you could say, is the way things go. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say something, because I think that, Michelle said a lot with the other side, but I think that most people have to understand that there is no the concept that, this life is the only life you have and don't blow it, is not true. This is not the one life you have. I mean, as far as not blowing it, people do that all the time. But Mother God and Father God are not going to, just let you go all on your merry way and deliberately ignoring you. So if you need help, they'll be there, but you have to be willing to ask for help. That's one of the things your guardian angel is responsible for, is to let you know when they're like a map reader. They let you know, if you need to make the next exit or not, or if you need to take a right or a left on the road ahead of you. But the driver himself is the one who's going to make the final decision. No one's going to go out there saying, oh, you're supposed to go ahead and go on to exit 25 on Route 8 to go to, say, Waterbury. Well, maybe you might decide that you want to go to exit 10 and go in the back routes. Your map reader might go, why are you going on exit 10? That probably only brings you down to Torrington. Well, I want to go to scenic route. And that's what a lot of people do. They take the scenic route, which is fine. It just means that it's going to take longer to reach your destination.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay too. It's and don't worry if you miss all the sites. We all know that the expressway isn't necessarily very exciting. It's just a route. It's just a road. But maybe you might decide that you want to see what's on the off-beaten path. Maybe some small town, what kind of stores, maybe what kind of, entertainment exists, restaurants, things like that. So that's one of the reasons why people sometimes get off the beaten path or the main route, is because they want to see the little things on the side that they may have missed or they would never have seen on the main road. I guess an example would be like the movie Cars, the original, like your grandson likes. Okay, you got this town called Radiator Springs, right? Mm-hmm. And when they built the big superhighway, everybody started coming in through Radiator Springs. Well, that's what happens to a lot of people. The world is vast, and some people are just trying to go from point A to point B straight through, and they're not going to sit there and really explore the local, towns on the way through. But then there are other people that say, I'm in no rush. I'm going to take it slow. I want to explore all the different communities. I want to taste all the different foods. I want to taste all the different ethnic concepts and of the way that people think. And that's pretty much what each person chooses to do in their life. I mean, your spirit guide knows, for example, the different maps. It's like you have a big map here, or maybe a GPS in their hand that says, okay, wait a minute, if you want to go straight from Torrington to Waterbury on Route 8, you go straight down, and then you get off at exit 20, I think at 25, but then you might, like I said before, you might say, oh, I don't want to go right to Woodbury. I want to check out some other small towns on the way, like Naugatuck and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you do, and you call the shots. You don't. Your spirit guide doesn't call the shots. I mean, they're not going to reach over and grab the wheel and make sure that you swerve off the road. That's not their job. Their job is just to point out the concerns that you need to know. Like, for example, let you know if there's the equivalent of a road construction, or if there's a traffic jam or something like that. It's up to you to make the final call which one I'm going to do. If I'm going to go through that traffic jam, maybe you might want to go through a traffic jam for some reason. Maybe you want to experience a traffic jam, for example. You never know. That's just the way the nature is of a spirit guide. Yeah, but what about twin souls, people? Well, we're a little different. Yeah, I know we are. I guess we have to say in our case is that it's still something that's like a work in progress. So we had a couple questions, Dory. One person asked, I don't have the person's name right now, and they were asking what's it like to share your body with another person. And Michele gave a very short answer, and I think we should briefly talk about this in a little more detail. What is it like to share your life with another person? Well, I think we should explain that it's a process of cooperation. You and the other person have to be willing to work together to achieve
Is it like sharing a twin?
It's kind of like the Abigail and Brittany Hensel sisters. I use that example because these are conjoined twins. They are conjoined from the neck down. And they're still conjoined to this day. So obviously, you see two girls, which really is one body with two heads on it.
So you and Lumi are the same person, or totally different people?
We're totally different people, but we share the same body. We almost perfectly overlap. Yeah, we almost perfectly overlap, but there is some slight differences.
Who's more controlling, Michele or Lumi?
Well, Michele's name is on the lease, so Michele pretty much is the more dominant person. Although I can assert myself as necessary. We work together in a lot of ways. We take turns at the wheel, if you will. I mean, it's not just one person drives the car and the other one just sits in the passenger seat. That doesn't happen that way. And sometimes I sit in the passenger seat more than Michele does. Yeah, that's only because, it confuses a lot of people. And I just don't want to have to try to keep explaining over and over again. What does it mean to be two-souled? Yeah, that's true. Two-souled gets kind of complicated. But I think some people tend to think about us as multiple personality disorders, but it's not under DSM-4 declared as multiple personality disorder. And that's the reason why I have to use the Abigail and Brittany Hensel understanding. Because if you saw a person with two heads that were conjoined from the neck down, you wouldn't even say anything about that.
Right, yeah.
You would say, okay, you're Abigail, you're Brittany, and nobody would say to them, oh, you got multiple personality disorder. And of course the doctor would point out, no, because they have a physical condition that shares flesh together. So what we were trying to say is that me and Libby's situation is unique. And there is, it makes it hard for some people to understand, but as I said, if you saw someone with two heads, two arms, and two legs, you would certainly say is, well, especially if they obviously are thinking differently, they talk differently, and they share several things in life together. Yeah, like one of the twins' heads is like 30 degrees off center, the other one is like Yeah. Well, anyway, you can find out more about Abigail and Brittany Hensel. They have been viewed on their YouTube page many, many, many times. These two young ladies are working towards getting their conjoined lives together. I gotta remember one thing about being conjoined, and about us, I guess it's almost the same, is if one doesn't like doing something and the other one likes doing something. For example, maybe one likes doing needlepoint and one likes doing video games. How do you so things like, that kind of situation where one wants to play their PlayStation 3 and the other one wants to work on a new needlepoint pattern. Well, I would think in that case they would just do a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
Only because they can't separate and go their own separate ways. So obviously, for those people who are always there in the now, you have to compromise. You have to kind of come up with a working arrangement for both of you, which is one person might say is, okay, well, let's see. I only want to play my PlayStation 2 for about 25 minutes. And then if you want to go ahead and work on your next needlepoint pattern, I know it takes longer. So maybe today you can work on that for like 2 hours, and then I'll play my game for 25 minutes, and then the day after that I play my game for 2 hours, and you needlepoint for 25 minutes. Something like that. Yeah.
Now, who's older, Lumi or
Excuse
Michele?
me?
Are you the same age? Are you different ages?
We're pretty close to the same age. Lumi likes to use. That's a good question, because we can choose whatever age we choose to be. If you listen to me, I seem like I'm older. I like to use my age back when I was Brigadier Eriksson in Finland, which would be February 11th, 1835. Yeah. And I was born on February 13th, 1968. So, but the problem that we ran into is that Lumi, for example, cannot enter on a computer 1835 for a birth date, because most computer software doesn't let you enter 1835. So what I did is, for the computer work, is I put down the year 1968, or I would use year 1836. 1936, which most computer software will allow. But I prefer to be kind of. I do appear a little bit older than Michele, but in some ways, but Michele is actually, we're both equally as old, because as far as experience goes, Michele has been much more experienced than me, because, for example, you take the fact is that even though me and Michele have both been men and women in our lives, I am more of a masculine type soul, and Michele is much more feminine. So what you got is when I am trying to go through life as a woman, I'm basically a disaster. I don't have it. Okay, I cannot manage it. I don't quite get the cues. I miss them. And Michele has the opposite problem. Yeah, because every time I try to go on life as a guy, I always end up blowing it. So when we came back together this time, this was a joint arrangement from the very beginning, that we asked to be conjoined as a couple prior to Michele being born. So this body was designed for two souls. In other words, the requirement was, and Mother was very specific, was Michele has to be willing to share this body with you. And Michele must come to her own realization of who you are and she has to say yes. You can't force the issue. And so, but until that point, you can work as Michelle's spirit guide, and I did. So in that case, I do have some spirit guide experience. It's funny we should be talking about me today, because the reason that we were supposed to do the video tomorrow about me and Beltane, May 1st, and it's Wednesday, it's Tuesday, yeah. So yeah, why don't we talk about that? Okay. So what happened is that so Michelle said to me, she said to me, you're my spirit guide, aren't you? She said, but I don't think it's just a spirit guide. And Michelle came to the realization that I wasn't just a spirit guide. And that was the important key piece, is that Michelle had to come to the realization. I was told not to try to say anything. Michelle had to come to the realization herself. Michelle, of course, was already studying things on the other side, on and off. So she kind of came to the realization when she said, something's not right here. I mean, it doesn't make any sense that, here I am, and I have all of these, feelings of total aloneness. This body is totally weird. This body doesn't make any sense. Why do I have these parts of my genitalia? Why do I have those parts of my genitalia? Why does it seem like half of my body is built for a man and the other half is built for a woman? And she said, that doesn't make any sense. And so Michelle quietly thought about it, and then, because I've been working with her since she was a baby, and she said to me, she says, this body was meant for two. This body is built for two people. I always felt that there was an empty spot in my body, for this was supposed to be a second person. Maybe the second person is supposed to join in, because I feel like I got a big empty space, like there's room for an extra person or soul. And then she said to me, she said, are you supposed to be physically in this body as a soul? Are you supposed to be here? Because it sounds like you're having the same problems that I'm having. And I said, in the sense that you and I mesh well. And she says, and here's the key piece, you are my twin soul. You're not just a spirit guide. You don't just come in and out of my life. You are here working with me much more intimately than most spirit guides do. And at that point I said, yes, that's what I'm for. That's why I was here. That's why we were. And then she said, do you remember what Mother Asna, apparently you and Mother Asna and I had worked on this body construction together. And I said, yes, I did. And I said, I remember when when Malachi at the council said to me, is that he would not sign off on this plan because he thought that this was too risky, because too many twin-souled people who entered the earth together as conjoined have found themselves in very, very uncomfortable circumstances. Yeah, and that's what makes it a lot harder. But no, since we're going to be doing your video at the same time, okay. How much of your life changed in the last 3 years? But we certainly can tell you my life has changed a lot. I mean, when me and Michelle first joined, there was a little bit of a hard kind of a yin and yang about who was supposed to do what and how and when, and that took a while for us to work it out. Some people didn't think something bad about Michelle because, but I think that this has been a pretty good arrangement for me because I didn't want to come back as a completely separate person in this life, because after my last life, I mean, I've had so many bad experiences, short lives, headstrong, outspoken, kind of like your daughter in a sense. Real firebrand, especially when it came to pushing buttons. So I didn't want to come back again, but I wanted to come back. But I wanted to come back with somebody that I felt comfortable with, who could, kind of complement my wisdom, but with her slightly artistic realm. So that's why me and Michelle have been a great team together. We've done a lot of great things. Yeah, we have. Now, as far as what you're saying, Dory, maybe we have to ask you what you think. What yourself? You said you got through a lot of changes yourself. Now you met me and Lumi when we first joined, and that's kind of recent. It's kind of interesting to hear. What did you think of Lumi 3 years ago?
I really didn't know who she was. I didn't know what she was about. But I got to know her a little bit, and I think she's a very nice person. And I know Michelle, and Michelle is very nice. Michelle is a wonderful person. But like I said, I really don't know Lumi as much as I know Michelle.
Right. Well, that would make sense because I don't usually go out there and make myself presence known to too many people because there's been so many people who have thought so many negative things.
Well, what people think what people think is not what you believe.
Right.
People out there can be really cruel, really, really disrespectful to people, and it's not right. Lumi and Michelle are very nice people.
I think the biggest problem is that people like to use the mental health issues.
I have mental health issues, and I don't have. I have a lot of mental health issues going on, but doesn't mean that I'm not a nice person,
right?
Or I'm not. In my own way, I'm special. We're all special,
Yeah. I think that as far as trying to explain over and over again about multiple personality disorder, it really makes it kind of hard.
But to tell you the truth, I think everybody sometimes has a I don't know how you say it, but multiply personality disorders because all people get angry, all people get sad, and I think that's our way sometimes of expressing our emotions.
Well, I think most people also have to remember is that people with MBD are using the other personality is actually an escape mechanism. Except when it switches over, they don't know about it. So that there's this, in other words, they sense a loss of time. Or what people at the party would say is, like people that are really sincere and serious people they know is that, no, you said this and you did this with the lampshade. And then there's someone says, I did what? I didn't do that. I just someone was sitting at the coffee drinking a cup of coffee and then next thing you know, it's 2 hours later. How can I felt like the whole day went poof, just like that. Because it did. Because from that person's perspective, it did. Because there was a lapse of time there.
Yep.
And the brain has to figure out what has happened. So what it does is it edits down the tape, if you will. So in other words, you might remember going to the party, and you might remember eating some food, and you will remember going home, and it might seem like it all happened within about 10 minutes. And that's, but you might be sitting at the party for 4 hours, but you only can remember like 10 minutes of the whole thing. And then somebody could actually say, well, didn't you remember you did this? Don't you remember you did that? And the answer is no, you didn't, because you don't remember that. And that's what multiple personality is like. But when you combine that, however, with alcohol, that makes it even more exasperating, because alcohol does things to your brain that makes it really work poorly. Yeah, brain and alcohol don't go good together. No, it's kind of like pickles in ice cream. Pickles in ice cream. Ugh. Pickles in ice cream. By the way, we got to be doing another vlog after this one. That will be a technical vlog, which will be pretty much me doing the taping. I just want to first of all thank Dory very much for coming and joining us here at the Snow Queen Palace.
Well, thank you for having me.
And for all of you guys, we want you to know that we are going to be doing another blog, a technical one for computer work and stuff like that. But before we go, I wanted to ask you one thing, which will probably be more venturing onto the technical blog. Is the computer, I mean, in your case, the cell phone issues. It seems like almost all these modern phones, especially Android ones, have got some serious bugs to squash. I don't know what that is.
I know one thing, my cell phone's going to get smashed. No.
Well, the battery's croaked.
I think my battery died, actually. I think my battery was like...
It's going to cost money to get the battery. But the
Better
phone
off
already
getting
looks...
a new phone.
The phone already looks like derelict from Skid Row anyway. I mean, it makes sense just to go ahead and just find another one at the pawn shop or something.
Yep.
You know.
Okay, can we wrap this up?
Okay, so anyway, that'll be the blog, that'll be the next one. And don't forget to like and share. Like and share, like and share.